let's get right to it. The world is watching as two of the largest democracies, America and India, navigate a partnership that could define the future of global power. But beneath the surface, tensions are simmering, and the stakes are higher than ever before. Is the United States, through its own missteps and shifting priorities, unintentionally pushing India closer to China? It's a question that's gaining urgency in diplomatic circles and newsrooms alike. It sounds wild. After all, India and China are neighbors locked in a tense, sometimes hostile standoff with border clashes and deep-rooted mistrust. But geopolitics is rarely simple, and alliances can shift in unexpected ways. In 2025, U.S. foreign policy seems to be testing the limits of this rivalry. Decisions made in Washington are being watched closely in New Delhi, and every move is scrutinized for signs of respect or disregard. The Trump administration's approach? Punish friends for small missteps, while adversaries sometimes get a pass. This unpredictable style has left many allies, including India, feeling uncertain about America's long-term intentions. For years, the U.S. Indo-Pacific strategy relied on India as the democratic counterweight to China's growing influence. Joint military exercises, intelligence sharing, and the Quad alliance were all built on trust and shared interests. But what happens if India starts doubting America's reliability? If New Delhi feels taken for granted or sidelined, it may start exploring other options. Options that could include closer ties with China or a more independent foreign policy. If India tilts away from the West, the entire regional balance could shift. Alliances like the Quad could weaken, and China's path to dominance in Asia would become much clearer, with fewer obstacles in its way. This isn't just about trade deals or diplomatic handshakes, it's about the very architecture of world power. The choices made today will echo for decades, shaping the global order for generations to come. Right now it feels like the US is gambling with its most important partnership in Asia. The uncertainty is palpable, and both sides are weighing their options carefully. If America loses India, the consequences could be global. The ripple effects would be felt not just in Asia, but across Europe, Africa, and beyond, as alliances realign and new power centers emerge. The stakes have never been higher. The world is at a crossroads, and the decisions made now will determine who leads and who follows in the decades ahead. Picture the Indo-Pacific as a tense, high-stakes three-way standoff where the world's most powerful navies are locked in a delicate balance of power. At the center of this strategic triangle are the US, China, and India, each with its own ambitions, fears, and calculations. The United States sees India as a crucial partner, a potential bulwark against China's growing influence in the region. Washington hopes to draw New Delhi closer, building a coalition to counter Beijing's assertiveness. Meanwhile, China wants to keep India either neutral or ideally subordinate, ensuring that it doesn't join forces with the US to contain Chinese ambitions. But India is determined to chart its own independent course. It refuses to be anyone's pawn, seeking to rise as a global power in its own right, not just as a counterweight to China or a junior partner to America. Every day this rivalry plays out in the vast waters of the Indian Ocean. Chinese submarines lurking beneath the waves, US naval exercises signaling strength, and India racing to modernize its navy and assert its presence. It's a tense, high-wire dance, where a single miscalculation or misstep could quickly spiral into a dangerous confrontation. You'd expect the US to do everything possible to keep India close, strengthening diplomatic ties, offering support, and building trust at every opportunity. Yet, recent US actions like imposing sanctions and public criticism seem to be pushing India away, creating frustration and uncertainty in New Delhi. It's almost as if Washington is trying to recruit a star player by constantly criticizing their performance rather than building them up. The result? India is left questioning America's true intentions, wondering if it can really count on the US as a reliable partner. All the while, China is watching these developments closely, waiting for any opportunity to exploit the growing rift between Washington and New Delhi. In this high-stakes geopolitical game, alienating India is a risky move that could shift the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. The US simply can't afford to lose its most valuable and promising partner in Asia, especially as China's influence continues to rise. Yet, unless something changes, that's exactly what's at risk, a partnership unraveling with consequences for the entire region. Enter the tariffs. In the world of international trade, tariffs are more than just taxes. They're powerful signals, and sometimes they're used as weapons. When a country imposes tariffs, it's not just about economics. It's about sending a message, drawing lines, and flexing muscle on the global stage. The Trump administration slapped tariffs on India for buying Russian oil, while letting China off easy for doing the same, but on a much larger scale. This wasn't just a policy decision, it was a public display of who gets punished and who gets a pass. The world noticed, and so did India. The message to India? Friends get punished, rivals get a pass. For a nation that has long considered itself a strategic partner of the US, this was more than a slap on the wrist, it felt like a betrayal. For India, this feels like hypocrisy and a diplomatic insult. The sense of unfairness runs deep, especially when India has often aligned with US interests on the world stage. Meanwhile, China is seizing the opportunity, offering India economic incentives and technology partnerships. Beijing is quick to remind India that it's open for business, ready to fill any void left by the US. Beijing's pitch. We may have our differences, but we're open for business. America, not so much. China's message is clear. If the US won't treat you as an equal, maybe we will. India knows China's offers come with strings attached, but when one superpower is punishing you and the other is offering deals, it's a tough call. The stakes are high, and every decision could reshape the region's balance of power. The result? India is forced to question whether the US is a reliable partner or a fickle friend. Trust, once shaken, is hard to rebuild, and India is now weighing its options more carefully than ever. China is exploiting this doubt, deepening the wedge. Every misstep by the US is an opportunity for Beijing to draw India closer, even if only a little at a time. The US risks losing India's trust at a critical moment. In a world where alliances are shifting, losing a key partner like India could have long-term consequences for American influence in Asia. Tariffs aren't just economic, they're strategic blunders. They ripple through industries, affect jobs, and send shockwaves through diplomatic relationships that take years to build. If America keeps this up, it may push India to reconsider its alliances. The debate is already happening in Parliament, in think tanks, and behind closed doors. The world is watching, and so is Beijing. Every headline, every policy shift is analyzed for what it means for the future of global power. In geopolitics, perception is everything. How a country is seen, fair or unfair, strong or weak, can shape alliances and rivalries for decades. Right now, America's image in India is taking a hit. Public opinion is shifting, and anti-US sentiment is growing, making it harder for leaders to justify close ties. And China is ready to capitalize. As the US fumbles, Beijing is positioning itself as the more dependable partner, eager to turn America's missteps into its own strategic gains. China's economic gifts to India are anything but free. Rare earth minerals, cheap tech, infrastructure deals, Beijing offers what India needs but always with strings. Dependence on Chinese resources or technology gives Beijing leverage. Economic, strategic, even digital. It's a classic trap. Solve India's problems, then use that dependency as a weapon. India knows the risks: security threats, espionage, and economic blackmail. But the pressure is real, especially as the US offers little but criticism and sanctions. China's strategy is subtle. Create ties so deep that breaking free becomes painful. The US, focused on punishment, is losing ground in this economic chess match. Power isn't just about armies, it's about influence and entanglement. Right now, China is playing that game better, and America's falling behind. The India-China border is a powder keg. Thousands of troops, tanks, and a history of violence. The 2020 Galwan Valley clash shattered trust. Both sides remain on high alert. Add Pakistan to the mix. China's close ally, armed and funded by Beijing, running projects through disputed territory. For India, China is both a direct threat and the architect of its regional headaches. An alliance with China is unthinkable. But if America proves unreliable, India may have to make hard choices. Sometimes survival means dealing with the devil, and that's the dangerous position US policy is creating. China wants India's public support on Taiwan. India's answer? Silence. India refuses to endorse China's One China policy, especially as Beijing ignores India's own territorial claims. It's a diplomatic balancing act. India won't provoke China, but won't help it either. Openly supporting Taiwan would invite Chinese retaliation. Supporting China would betray India's interests. So India stays vague, maintaining unofficial ties with Taiwan but no official recognition. This ambiguity keeps India's options open and signals its independence. The bottom line? India and China's visions for Asia are fundamentally at odds. No amount of economic carrots will change that. Strategic alignment is off the table. India's tightrope walk continues. Tibet is a flashpoint, spiritually, strategically, and environmentally. The Dalai Lama's succession could spark a crisis. China wants control. India may recognize a rival successor. Meanwhile, China's dam building on Tibetan rivers threatens India's water security. Control of water is a powerful weapon. China can flood or starve India's farms at will. For India, Tibet is a buffer and a lifeline. China's actions fuel deep distrust and a sense of vulnerability. The conflict over Tibet ensures the India-China divide remains unbridgeable. It's a slow-burning fuse, one that could ignite at any time. The Quad, America, Japan, Australia, and India was meant to contain China. But India's commitment is conditional. It values independence over alliances. US tariffs and unpredictability make India question the partnership. If America punishes its friends, why should India stick its neck out? The ripple effect. Japan and Australia also worry about US reliability. China exploits every sign of division, using it as propaganda. The Quad's strength is unity. Without it, it's just talk. If India hedges, the alliance loses its bite. America's erratic policy is doing China's work for it. The future of the Quad hangs in the balance. So, is America driving India toward China? Not into an alliance, but into neutrality, a position that weakens US strategy and empowers Beijing. The real danger isn't a sudden India-China partnership, but a slow erosion of trust in America. A neutral India won't fully commit to the Quad or counter China in the region. That's a win for Beijing, achieved by American missteps. The Indo-Pacific's future may hinge on whether Washington can treat its partners better than its rivals. The ball is in America's court, and India is watching, weighing its options, because in this game reliability is everything.